Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yo, what up, brothers? It's the Director. Chargers fans, it's time. It's time that we drop the bomb, the video a lot of people have been requesting for the past couple of weeks. Should the Chargers re-sign Mike Williams or pursue the lottery and wide receiver free agents Davante Adams? What is the right move for the Bolts in 2022? Now, this has been an ongoing debate for a while, okay? Last season, a couple seasons before that, he's been dropping hints that he wants to join the Los Angeles Chargers. This got a lot of us super excited, right? But since then, things have developed. Mike Williams has really turned into one of the better, maybe even the best wide receiver two in football, and decisions must be made as we enter into his contract year. This offseason, Chargers, they can re-sign Mike Williams, pay a hefty price for him, or sign Davante Adams possibly, and honestly pay up for him too. So we got a couple of options here. Both do serve some risk. Both do serve major rewards. So I'm here to kind of navigate those waters for you guys, let you guys know the details you need to know, and maybe the Chargers making this decision, and honestly where I stand with this. If the Chargers have the opportunity, do they get Davante Adams, or do they stick with what's been working in Mike Williams, who really is an integral piece to this Chargers offense? And before anybody asks, it's very, very unlikely that the Chargers make it out with both Mike Williams and Davante Adams this offseason, okay? It'd be something like $60 million against the cap between our wide receivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and then potentially Davante Adams. I think that is very, very unlikely. So in today's video, we're going to go over what most likely could happen, what I think they should do, and maybe the answer could lie in neither of them. Very interesting. So question for you guys in the comments. I know I just dropped a bomb right there. If we sign neither Mike Williams or Davante Adams, is there another name, another wide receiver you'd like the Chargers to pursue this offseason? If so, who would that be in the comment section? We're going to go over more of that here in just a minute. Well, guys, before we do get started, hit us up with a like and sub. If you do enjoy this Chargers content, the small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this, man. It's going to get messy in here. Lights, camera, action. The Mike Williams versus Davante Adams debate. A debate that's been going on the past couple of seasons. Let's jump right into it, man. A couple of years ago, Davante Adams started dropping hints that he wants to play with Keenan Allen, okay? And that's kind of where everything started to spark. His relationship with our wide receiver one and Keenan Allen seemed pretty strong. And it's something that Keenan Allen shared sentiment in as well. They want to play together and they complement each other very, very well. The quality and the madness of the route running that these two could produce on the same field, on the same turf, would be absolutely insane. And since then, that possibility being opened up to us, the fans, we haven't been able to shut up about it. But a wrinkle in the story has been Mike Williams and his contract season and what he did in 2022. Mike Williams had a fantastic year. But first, let's take a look at what Mike Williams' body of work looks like with the Chargers, his story, and maybe kind of determining whether or not the Chargers want to bring him back, if the fans would like to see him back. I'm sure a lot of people would, but let's kind of back that up with some things that I've noticed, some facts that we've seen from Mike Williams, and the potential that he has to honestly even get better in 2022. So the Mike Williams story, drafted in 2017, right? A lot of people point out that we passed on Patrick Mahomes to get Mike Williams. Whatever. Nobody knew that Patrick Mahomes would be what he was. The Chargers wanted to get a wide receiver to pair up with Phillip Rivers, give him a 50-50 possession guy. That's something that Phillip Rivers has had for a long time, and Vincent Jackson, Malcolm Floyd. They wanted to make sure Phillip Rivers had some weapons out there. And you know what? They got their guy. And the front office absolutely adores this dude. I think in an interview just a couple of days ago, they were talking about how vital Mike Williams is to the game plan on offense. He played a big role in 2021. And you know what? I think it also played a big role in Justin Herbert's success the last few years, why Justin Herbert has been so good. However, Mike Williams has had his ups and downs in his career, okay? If we're going to look at both sides of the coin, he's been a very solid wide receiver 2 for the Chargers, one of the better wide receiver 2s in the league, but he has had a share of issues. Number one concern for Mike Williams in Chargers fans' eyes has been injury. Okay, he's missed his fair share of games due to, I guess you could neck, back, knee, ankle injuries, you name it. Mike Williams has probably had it. However, I don't think it looks as bad, or I don't think it's as bad as it looks on the surface. He's played through a lot of injury, which again, that does come with a share of concerns, but he has been more available than not. And I think a lot of Chargers fans see Mike Williams as the guy who hasn't played a lot of football. He really has only missed a handful of games, so we can't really label him injury prone. However, he does play through injury more often than not, so kind of getting our minds wrapped around that. Mike's production as well has been solid, but not very consistent in his 5 years with the Chargers. He's topped 1,000 yards twice in his career, in 2021 and 2020, or in 2019, and he's only eclipsed double-digit touchdowns once in his career in 2018. So on and off again. Of course, his rookie season, he kind of didn't have much to do with the offense. In his second year, lots of touchdowns. His third year, lots of yards, very little touchdowns, and only 2. It really seems that it took up until 2021 for him to reach his honestly full wide receiver 2 potential. 1,000 yards, or 1,146 yards, and 9 touchdowns was a very, very good year for Mike Williams. And 2021 season was by far his best. That's exactly what the Chargers needed, and that's exactly why Justin Herbert has been having an absolute, rock solid start to his career as well. Mike Williams does deserve a lot of credit from that. And honestly, guys, I'm starting to question: Are we starting to see full form Mike Williams in 2021? Have we started to get a sneak peek at what Mike Williams really has to offer this team? Because I do think the Chargers have let go of some good talent in the past, right? Adrian Phillips, Casey Hayward, Younghoe Koo. There is a risk that the Chargers, if they decide to move on from Mike Williams, may be letting go a major piece of the team that honestly excels wherever he decides to go because of what we saw in 2021. Is 2021 his new floor, is kind of what I'm saying. Is there a chance that he sustains that production? Abso-freaking-lutely, man. There's a magic number that exists in the world of football, and that's 27 if you're a wide receiver. For some reason, in recent league history, as soon as a wide receiver turns 27, that's kind of where we start seeing their full form, their full potential. And if the Chargers decide to move on from Mike Williams at age 27 after such a spectacular 2021 campaign, could it be looked back on as one of the biggest mistakes the Chargers have ever made? It's possible. It's possible. I don't know if I want to be that guy again, because we've seen it, a couple of times from the Chargers. I don't know if I want to let go of Mike after seeing what he did in 2021. Okay? Now let's get into a little bit of Davante Adams talk as well. Davante Adams on the move. I promise we're gonna wrap all of this up in a nice bow at the end. Okay? Davante Adams on the move. Now Adams has been rumored to be on the move this year, even last year. And I think a lot of this has to do, again, with Aaron Rodgers' situation. Aaron Rodgers one day wants to be the host of Jeopardy. The next day he wants to be an NFL quarterback. The next day he wants to be the NFL quarterback on a different team. And this has really given, the Packers a very rocky foundation as to whether or not are they keeping Davante Adams? Do they want to tag Davante Adams? Do they want to extend Davante Adams? Because what is Davante Adams without Aaron Rodgers? I think Davante Adams is a waste of potential without Aaron Rodgers. If we got Jordan Love out there, tossing passes to Davante Adams, are we really seeing the best that we can get at Davante Adams? Is he really worth that cap space to a team that really doesn't pay their wide receivers? I don't know, man. Davante Adams very, very heavily connected to where Aaron Rodgers goes. If Rodgers departs, I think so will Adams. They can most certainly go to the same team, but that would be a hefty, hefty price tag, not one that I think a lot of teams can afford. So will this happen? We don't have a clue. We have no clue whether or not Davante Adams will stay in Green Bay or if he'll leave. With Aaron Rodgers, if he stays, does Davante Adams stays? I do certainly think that's the case. But again, it's all kind of in the air. However, never say never when it comes to this conversation, because there's a real chance that Davante Adams moves on from Green Bay this year. There really is. Just like there was a real chance that Aaron Rodgers left last year, there's a real chance that he leaves this year. They posted all sorts of content at the top of the season that this was their last dance. This is the last year they're going to have with the Green Bay Packers. Then they're going to move on to the next chapter in their stories. Never say never. But the Chargers, I got to point this out, man. The Chargers aren't the only team in contention for Davante Adams if he decides to part ways with the Green Bay Packers. The Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Seahawks, even the Raiders could nab him. Can you imagine a worse hell? The Raiders decide to nab Davante Adams. I would be pretty upset. I think right now, realistically, the Packers, the Chargers, and the Raiders have been the most linked and likely spots for Davante Adams. Of course, I think the Raiders connection is that, of course, he played with Derek Carr in college. I think he's going to want to do that again if he has the opportunity. But he has been connected to the Chargers as well. I think one other team that I'm failing to mention here. Never say never. He could become available. Do the Chargers want to let him, perhaps slip to another AFC West team? We've seen that with so many players going to Kansas City. Davante to the Raiders definitely makes me a little bit worried, okay? Now, if Davante Adams is on the move and the Chargers are saying, hey, let's go ahead and look into this guy, he's not without his red flags. We have to remember that. For one, if we're going against the case of Davante Adams here for just a minute, okay, guys? For one, Adams is older, okay? Davante Adams will be turning 30 in December. And the Chargers' recent history with aging stars has not been great, right? I think Chris Harris Jr., probably the most recent example of that. He kind of fell off a cliff as soon as the Chargers signed him, and it was a signing that a lot of us were super stoked for. Chargers needed help at cornerback. We're getting one of the best cornerbacks in free agency, and ultimately it just did not work out for us. Whereas Mike Williams, on the other hand, if we decide to re-sign him, he's only 20. He'll be 28 at the same time Davante Adams turns 30, okay? We have more longevity with Mike Williams. He is younger. He has a lot, more left in the tank, I think, as far as time is concerned. Davante Adams as well. If we had to talk about Mike Williams' injuries, we got to talk about Davante Adams' injuries as well. Davante Adams has missed 15 games in his career. 15. But I do also have to point out, he's been in the league for 8 years. And I do think a majority of his, longer injury, history was a little bit further in the past, okay? So as far as injury, prone, again, I don't think we can say that about Mike Williams. The same thing. I do not think we can say it about Davante Adams. Okay, 15 games in 8 years is not as much as some people are thinking, okay? But another thing about Davante Adams, a reason why he's been so good is that he's held around 28% of the target share in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. That is a lot. Of course, if you're a good wide receiver and you're seeing that many targets every season, you're going to put up the best numbers in the league. Can he sustain numbers like that in Los Angeles? Could he do it? Would he see a hit in his statistics? Would he see a hit in his effectiveness if he's competing for the wide receiver one spot with Keenan Allen? It's possible, but I also think it's possible that Justin Herbert can sustain 2 wide receiver ones. And we'll get into that in just a second, okay? Lastly, Davante Adams is going to be very, very, very expensive. And I think everybody here knows that. Of course, the Chargers could afford him, but is it the financial move the Chargers want to make to try and get better in 2022? I don't know. But let's not cross wires here, okay? Let's not be naive. We had to talk about the pros and cons. Those are the cons. The pros. The pros for Davante Adams. He's the best in the league. Right? Despite these nitpicking issues that we went over, Adams is the best in the NFL, the best wide receiver. And in my opinion, he's not slowing down, dudes. In his last 2 seasons, we'll take a look here, dude. In his last 2 years, Davante Adams has racked up, almost 3,000 yards, 29 touchdowns. The injury year in 2019, sure, that sucked. That wasn't great. But he just bounced right back and hotter than ever, did he not? Absolutely insane. He's perhaps the best route runner in the league. Him and Keenan Allen very close. He probably has the best hands in the league as far as coming up with clutch catches. Everything about Davante Adams screams best wide receiver in football. I don't even know if I have to go that much further into it. Everybody knows. I think most people would agree that Davante Adams is the best of the best. And that's probably the only reason you would need to consider bringing him into your organization. Now let's start trying to piece things together, okay? So that's the history of Davante Adams, the history of Mike Williams. Let's make a case for Mike Williams, okay? I love the back and forth. It's a good narrative in the film world. It's a nice structure. A case to keep Mike Williams. Mike Williams is a part of what makes this offense work, okay? A big part. The Chargers organization really value what he brings to the table. Jump ball ability, 50-50s. Physical play from the wide receiver position. They value it, and so does Justin Herbert. Mike Williams offers a big target with speed, red zone efficiency. Not many wide receivers can do what Mike Williams does. If you want to talk about how good Davante Adams is, we got to talk about how good Mike Williams is at what he does. His percentage and win rate as far as 50-50, his percentage win rate in the red zone, a lot higher than a lot of other wide receivers in the league. He's younger, 27 years old, right? And again, like I said before, this happens to be the age that many wide receivers break into their best seasons. He won't be as expensive as Davante Adams. I think Mike Williams, the last I checked, will likely earn in the range of $16 million a season. That could be over the course of 3 to 4 seasons, right? And if the Chargers choose, they can definitely decide to tag him for around $18 million next season, just to make sure his breakout season was the real deal in 2021. We saw a great version of Mike Williams in 2021. Let's see if we can keep that going. We want to keep things consistent for Justin Herbert as well. He's had Mike Williams more often than not since entering the league in 2020. Mike finally breaking the barrier in 2021. In my opinion, I don't think that's a fluke, man. I don't think that's a fluke. I feel this is him living up to the potential that we were hoping to see in 2017 when he was drafted. And honestly, he could improve even further in 2021. Again, 27 is a magical year for receivers. I think, and again, this is pure speculation. You can agree or disagree with me. I think the Chargers may have tried to begin his transition to wide receiver 1 in 2021, okay? Keenan is still amazing. Keenan is still our wide receiver 1. And when I say wide receiver 1, I don't mean blatantly like wide receiver 1, Mike Williams, wide receiver 2, Keenan Allen. Like more putting him into that role is what I mean. All right? Keenan is still our wide receiver 1, but he, in my opinion, is at his best when operating the slot. It feels like there's a chance that the Chargers have been readying Mike Williams to take the X position, the wide receiver 1 spot. And we saw amazing signs of him being able to perform in that area in the early portion of the 2021 season. You guys remember, dudes, in the first third of 2021? Oh my Lord, Mike Williams, if you drafted him in fantasy football, you were grinning ear to ear, right? You were putting up so many points every single week. He had a ridiculous start to the season before ultimately slowing down. Now, could he live up to that expectation next season? I think that's absolutely possible. And I think, honestly, he could even get better. He's at that range where Mike Williams could just explode onto the scene in 2021. Is that the kind of wide receiver you want the Chargers to let go of right now? I don't think so. I don't want that to be another regret when it comes to moving on from players for the Chargers. Mike Williams, he works in the system. He's been excelling. He's been growing. He's an amazing player, an amazing person, somebody very, very highly valued by the organization. I don't know if it's time to move on from him. That's your case for Mike Williams, man. Very valuable piece to that Chargers offense. And again, he's not going to cost as much. Now let's talk about Davante Adams. A case to sign Davante Adams. I'm trying to, represent both sides of the coin here, guys, because again, there's a lot. This is why this is such a tough decision, such a tough topic of conversation to have, because both of these scenarios sound amazing. The Chargers, in the case of signing Davante Adams, the Chargers have officially entered the win now phase of Justin Herbert's career very early because of how big that we hit on Justin Herbert at the quarterback position. It's time to make some big moves. It's time to go, compete for a championship. Super Bowl teams make big moves. That's just a fact, okay? And it's time for the Chargers to make their big move. Davante Adams isn't just a great receiver. Like I said before, man, this is the best receiver in football right now. Pairing him up with Keenan Allen would be one of the most overpowered duos in all of football. Maybe one of the most overpowered duos in NFL history because of what they both offer. They want to play together, and they should. Because one thing's for sure, someone is going to get open every single down. Like or Keenan Allen and Davante Adams on the same field. I cannot imagine any NFL team trying to go in and defend that. There's no defense in the NFL that boasts close to enough DB talent to contain both of them, if not one of them. Both of them? You've got to be kidding me. Adams stepping in could completely transform the identity of this offense. Very few players can do that when signing in as a free agent. His talent, I think, just elevates every aspect of the team. From running the game, or from the run game to moving the chains to red zone efficiency, he would affect every part of this offense with his presence. Teams would have to back off, man. That helps out the run a little bit. We need a red zone target. Davante Adams is one of the best in the league. 18 touchdowns 2 seasons ago. Almost 30 touchdowns over the course of the last 2 years. Get out of here. It's insane, dude. He would literally affect every aspect of the offense. And honestly, dude, some people ask, can the Chargers, sustain 2 wide receiver ones? I think Justin Herbert has proven he can sustain 2 wide receiver ones. Not many quarterbacks can do that. The Chargers are in a very unique situation that if they bring on Davante Adams, which some people would say, oh, that's overkill, Justin Herbert is one of the very few quarterbacks that can pull that off, where both of these guys are going to have an incredible season, and it's going to be very evident why he was an integral piece or a huge signing this offseason. Not very many quarterbacks can do that. Because honestly, I think when all's said and done, we're talking about Davante Adams here. Adams does everything Mike can do, I think, but better. Way better in some aspects. But he also offers many things that Mike Williams just simply cannot do. I think the biggest part is just getting open. That's huge. His route running. That's a huge part of that, man. Davante Adams, he's special. Everybody knows he's special. His route running is absolutely insane, and that's just something that Mike Williams can't do. There's a major issue as well with the Chargers in 2021 that we haven't really brought up this year. Drops. The Chargers, I think, led the league in drops this season. Whether it's because of Justin Herbert's arm or the lack of efficiency for the wide receivers, I don't know. Mike Williams was certainly a part of that, dude. He had a share of drops this season to contribute to that category. But so does everybody else in that team. If there's one thing I'm sure of, though, it's that Davante Adams will not drop the ball. He's going to hold on to that rock. Right? Adams will need to be paid, though, to the tune of around $21 million per season. It's one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive, wide receiver contract in football. But if you think about it, Mike Williams would be what, like $16 million a season? That's only $5 million a season more than Mike Williams. You got to think about that. That kind of upgrade you get for that price margin, rarely exists in the NFL. This simply is just the sort of move that winning teams make, man. And that's my argument for Mike Williams, or for Davante Adams. Now, one more thing before we move on to my consensus, right? Option C. There's an option C, director? Yeah, there's an option C. Okay? I need to make you aware of another option here. What if the Chargers let go of Mike Williams and then decide not to sign Davante Adams or another big-name wide receiver like that? Right in the streets? Burning of the jerseys? Maybe. I'm not saying it's the right move, but hear me out. Some teams, like the Green Bay Packers, simply do not pay the position of wide receiver very often. I'm sure it's been very frustrating for Packers fans to witness. They have been, keeping Davante Adams around. That's great, but when it comes to bringing in help, not very much as far as, work done from the Packers organization. But instead, you know what the Packers do? Instead, they throw the resources at other positions, specifically on defense. And wow, did they have a great defense this year. One that's getting a lot of pieces back as they're getting into the playoffs. The reason that they do this is because of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is special. He can elevate an average wide receiver into a very good wide receiver due to his efficiency as a quarterback. Could the Chargers enter the season with just Keenan Allen, Josh Palmer, Jalen Guyton? It's absolutely possible, because Justin Herbert can likely do what Aaron Rodgers does. We've seen it. We've seen it when Keenan Allen was out or Mike Williams was out. Those guys stepped up, and because of Justin Herbert, they made some big plays. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, you'll have likely added some major pieces to your defense. The money that you saved on not signing a guy like Davante Adams or Mike Williams, you likely went out there and got a superstar cornerback, superstar, defensive tackle, edge, linebacker. That's kind of where you're shuffling and shoveling in your resources at that time. I think this is something that Justin Herbert desperately needed in 2021 was help from his defense. And this would be a way to make that happen. Would this be something you guys consider? Forgo a big wide receiver 2 signing, Mike Williams or Davante Adams, in order to bolster the defense? You guys let me know in the comment section. Now, finally, guys, we're going to get to the big one, because a lot of people want to know. A lot of people want to know what my thoughts are on this. What's my consensus? What do I want? What does the director want? Okay? When it comes to the decision between Mike Williams, Davante Adams, or maybe foregoing the position altogether. And this is one of the toughest scenarios that I've covered in my channel's history, because, again, both of these guys just make so much sense to the Bolts this year. But here's where I'm at, okay? I would take Davante Adams by a hair, okay? By a hair. Because, again, Mike Williams, very important to this team. But if it were up to me, let's say I was in a Madden franchise or something, I would take Davante Adams. It hurts to think of letting go of Mike Williams. I know it does. It does for me, especially with the sort of year that he had in 2021. What if he goes on, to the Seattle Seahawks and has an even bigger year? Who knows? That could certainly happen. Who knows? But if you got a chance, in my opinion, to sign the best wide receiver in football, to pair up with Justin Herbert, as well as another insanely good route runner in Keenan Allen, if you got the opportunity to do that, you do it. In the phase that the Chargers are in right now, where they proved to be a playoff caliber team in 2021, they got the quarterback superstar in Justin Herbert. They got all sorts of money to fix their defense. If you're in this phase right now, big moves win championships. And this would be a big move, probably the biggest move of the offseason for any team, picking up Davante Adams if he's available. Just visualizing what it would be like watching those two run routes together is absolutely unbelievable in him and Keenan Allen. As well as visualizing who could possibly slow down the duo of these guys. There's no defense that exists that would be able to match up against them. It's a huge move. And the bottom line is, I'm ready, as well as are the fans, to win a Super Bowl. And this is just the sort of move that would prove they're committed to doing so. It's time to go all in. So buy a hair. I think the Chargers should grab Davante Adams. Now, finally, to wrap this up, what will probably happen? I think, again, it's hard to take a stance on it because I love Mike, and the situation is so huge and it's so unpredictable. My preference would be go big, grab Davante Adams. But what will probably happen, in my opinion, if I'm trying to guess, okay? There's a difference between theory and reality. The reality of the situation starts with Devante, okay? Will Adams even be available? Maybe. A strong maybe, but maybe. If Aaron Rodgers decides to stay in Green Bay, which, again, he certainly could do. He's tried to blow smoke every which way the past couple seasons. He's always been in Green Bay. If Rodgers decides to stay, then there's absolutely no shot. Devante stays with the Green Bay Packers and makes it a very easy decision for us. But what if Davante Adams is available? Do I think the Chargers should do it? Will the Chargers do it? Again, maybe. If I had to bet, though, if we're saying realistically, if I had to put my chips in, right, what will happen if he's available, I still do think the Chargers would pass. Because from what I hear, especially very recently after that big game versus, Vegas, the organization values him tremendously. I'm picking up vibes that they will more than likely tag him or sign him to like a 3 or 4 year deal here very, very soon. Is that a bad thing? No. Before people are like, director, this would be an absolutely fantastic thing if you're a Chargers fan. If your phone buzzes tomorrow and it states that we've extended Mike Williams to let's say a 3 or 4 year deal at $16 million a season, that's a means to celebrate. That's an awesome move by the Chargers, because the reality of the situation is he is a really good football player that's been growing and developing and could get even better next season. He's in a system that works for him and the team. He's with the quarterback that values his playability, his physical playability. If this is what the Chargers decide to do, I'd be ecstatic. I love Mike Williams, and I know all you guys do too, and I want to see him stay with us for a long time. But again, there's a chance at the magical age of 27, additionally, that Mike Williams absolutely takes the league by storm in 2022. The kind of production that we saw in the first third of the 2021 season, that could be the new Mike we see going forward. I don't want to give that up. So if we decide to go with Mike Williams, whether or not Davante Adams is available or not, that's a means to celebrate. And that's what I think is going to happen. Could the Chargers still go get Davante Adams? Sure, it's a real possibility. But that's what I think the realistic outcome would be. So what do you guys think, man? Long video again today. I know these topics have been so huge, it's been taking a little extra time. What do you guys think? This is a huge question. I know, one that took me a long time to figure out how to answer. Mike Williams or Davante Adams? Let me know in the comment section below. Or neither. Let me know what you guys think about that scenario too. Right? It's a big decision. But I think ultimately I'm leaning towards if Davante's available, I think you go get him. But I also think more than likely in reality, the Chargers will decide to tag or extend Mike Williams, which again is another great option. There's really no losing here. You guys let me know in the comment section below. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. I want to hit us up with a like and sub on your way out if you did enjoy this content. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty. Big decision.